welcome to Jean's Storytime with Miss Jean Kelly and her helpers, Zach and Claude.
The thing that we're really trying to do is to tell the children and the adults, anyone who's listening, about the love of God and the fact that Jesus died for them and that they are important, because many people don't know this. They don't know that they're important, and we want to tell them that. We do not want to entertain. We are not an entertainment. We are a home mission project. We are an outreach of the church. I think the thing that really sometimes gets me, and I don't know if it's ego or what it is, but when we go in to give a program and they will stand and say, all right, now it's time for the puppet show, because we really are not a puppet show. When you're a puppet show, children are sitting on the floor and they're waiting for a Punch and Judy type thing, where this puppet talks to that puppet, and it makes them just laugh and laugh and laugh. It's like being a clown or doing magic at a birthday party, and that's not what we are. We are an outreach of the mission program. We deal with children. We want the children to know, but we want everyone to know. We ask them to send us prayers, and the children do it. We get prayers, maybe not every week, maybe 3 weeks out of a month, maybe twice a month, but they do send us prayers and things that they really think about.
This morning, our prayer helpers, we have two of them, Katie and Jamie Heller from Dunlap, Iowa.
All right.
Oh, so everybody join us.
Okay.
Come on. Talk to God with us by folding your hands and closing your eyes and bowing your head while we all talk to God together using Jamie and Katie's prayer.
And I think one of the greatest feelings is when we say, let's all join together. I can just see all these little people and all these little hearts talking to God.
Hi. Did you all send pictures for the storyboard? Yeah. I think so. Now, what's your name?
The choir kids touch me. Kids, I don't know. I love kids, and kids touch me. They're so innocent. They're so beautiful when they're singing. Their little faces light up, and they're so happy to be here. It's
shine, shine, shine. Come on and let your light shine. We'll let it shine, shine, shine. Come on and let your light shine. Smile, and
that was a good one. You like that one, don't you? And how many times adults have come up to me and said to me, this is such a great experience for my child, because when I was little, I sang on Jean's Storytime. In the beginning, my kids always did say I was in the beginning with the Bible, and sometimes I think they're right. A long time ago, let's start that way, there was a lot of public service time donated by the television stations, and I really think they had to give so much television time to public service. And so they decided there should be some religious programming on Sunday mornings. And of course, everything was live in those days. And at that time, Norman Williams worked at KMTV as a director. And so he realized that in order to get a program going on KMTV, he could do it. And Norm came up with a format of almost like a Sunday school, where they had a puppet, and the children could participate by sending in drawings. The children could send in prayers. And we had a window that we called our window of life, and his wife made curtains and made drapes to go on this window. And we had a big book that the names were handwritten in when a child would send that in. Sometimes they even sent in when their birthday came around, because we had very little mail in the beginning. And from that, we got together with his script. Norm got together with this. And the other men from the other churches decided that if the Lutherans were going to write it, and if the Lutherans were going to present it, then let the Lutherans support it. The call went out to the churches to audition. And there were like 25 women who auditioned for this. And I was the last one to go in. They were all talking about their college degrees and the place they had been in and so on. And I really felt inferior then, and I still do. And they said, do you draw? And I said, no. And they said, can you sing? And I said, no. And finally they said, what are you doing here? And I said, I really feel that the message of Christ must be given to these children. And then I got a call and went to a meeting, and Norm told me that they had selected me to be the teacher, and I was petrified. And I didn't know how I would ever do this. And I went home and I said to my husband, can you get the kids ready for Sunday school for 13 weeks? And he said, yeah, he thought he could. And so the 13 weeks have become 39 weeks on an average, 39 weeks a year for 33 years.
You are on television.
I'm scared.
Well, Claude, I can't believe you. First you tell me you're scared of thunder and lightning, then you say you're scared of being on television.
Wait a minute.
Even though he's my son, he does a good job, very good job. He's very easy for me to work off of. We are, unfortunately, a lot alike.
Miss Jean's purpose is to get a moral lesson and hopefully ask them to go to any church that they can get to, or at least know that somebody loves them, that God loves them. I think Miss Jean, when she writes it, may aim for someone. Myself, I just throw it out there, and whoever smiles, that's my big thrill. If we can make them smile and feel joy, then that's my purpose here. I've always thought of Zach as being the straight guy and Claude as being the funny guy. And they each have their own separate personality. One's a little more relaxed and laid back, that'd be Claude, and Zach gets a little hyper because he's a frog and hops and that type of thing, so I always thought of him as being kind of a jumpy kind of character. And I let each thing just kind of flows. I've never really sat down and thought about it. I'm afraid I'll really goof up badly if I think about it too much. So it's always Zach on the right and Claude on the left, and I've just kept it that way all the time, and it's just kind of a second nature thing after all this time. So I think I've had both of them for, well, I bet I've done two for at least 10 years. Oh, it's been a very long haul. Starting out in high school, it was real nice because we had time to drive to these different churches out in the country and lots of time to talk, which I think a lot of teenagers don't have that time when you're sitting in that car and have no place else to hide. And you end up talking even if you didn't want to. I was allowed to be myself, not only as the puppets, but as a human being or as a person. And it's an opportunity that a lot of people don't have with their parents. Other than that, the other part was being able to put Mom in a tight spot, which I'm sure 1 or 200,000 kids would like to do every day on public television, to get their mom to go,
A lot of people say they can tell when he's doing that to me. I must not have as good a poker face as I thought, because people say, I got you that time. But that's what's fun. I think that's what the kids like. They like that because the puppets can make fun of Miss Jean. Not really poke fun at her. You know, like he said, I said, I've been around, and he says, you're a little rounder than you used to be. But things like that's kind of fun. That's fun.
Or the time the frog said his birthday was coming, and I knew it wasn't coming. And he said, I'll tell you what I want for my birthday. And then he said, a car kit, a little red wagon, and I'm saying, that's nice. And he said, and a cow say, and I'm saying, don't do it. But this little thing in my head says, I wonder what that is. And so I just said to him, what's the cow say? And he says, moo. Well, he can hide behind that. Like he said, he's behind there. I'm the one standing out in front, taking all his flack. But that's what's fun. Oh, I saw it. That was, and Matt did too?
Did you take a picture, ma'am? Did you?
We'll look. We'll see if the name's on the roll call.
Check that out.
We'll look. And you'll be surprised how many different kids we get from every week.
We get 75, 100, 150 drawings, pieces of mail. We get more drawings than that. But we get that much. And the children are faithful. And you can tell when they have a new baby in their family. You can tell when they get too old to draw, because some of them will drop off and we'll get new names on the bottom. I don't know if that's NEA or NEE. It's NEA. Sometimes you can't tell the way the kids write.
And you want to make sure you have it correct, because it upsets them if their names aren't right. This takes hours and hours. By the time I open all this mail and put them in their respective spots, and then I still have to go through them and separate them according to size,
And then I have to write my script yet, and I have to pull a storyboard for next week. And when I get the mail, I do look at the postmarks, and I open the earliest postmarks first. I'm so organized. Isn't that ridiculous? But that's what I do. I figure if they get theirs in the mail first, then they should have their names on there first.
Every week, I would say about 85 to 90% of our names are new names. And the kids will say to me, I've watched every Sunday, I watch you. But the child has never sent a drawing before. And then maybe you will never hear from that child again. The kids that are in Sunday school, good. That's where they have to be. That's where we want them. And that's what we say every Sunday on Gene's Storytime. We are not trying to steal sheep. We don't want the kids with us. We're the only one on television that doesn't really want them to watch us. We will say to them, you belong in Sunday school. You know, a lot of people will say to me, how long are you going to do it? And I say this, I never dreamed I would ever do anything like this. Never, ever dreamed I would do this. God put me here. And I think God will tell me when it's over. All we can do is plant the seed. The harvest isn't up to us. The harvest is up to the Lord.
Join us again next week for Gene's Storytime, when the boys and girls will join Miss Gene Kelly and her helpers, Zach and Claude. Watch Gene's